in Uganda and you look at the housing shortage we have just in Kampala, it's over 2 million. That is a sure source of income. Why? Because all of us, after we leave here, we're going to homes. And still, your capital determines where you enter that industry. You have very little money, you put one room, chisenge. A bit of more money, you do a bed sitter, chisenge diro. And more money, then 3-bedroom house. More, you go for an apartment. Then you go for the bungalows and, the mansions. But wherever you enter the housing industry, you're sure to make money. What other basic need is there? Clothing. Clothing. What? Clothing, very good. Basic clothing. When I entered here, I was looking around to see someone who was naked and so disappointed. All of you are clothed. What does that mean? The clothing market. There is money. Depending on your capital, you can fly to Turkey and China and bring them in. You don't have enough capital, go to a window and you buy Ndibota. And even in that Ndibota, there are classes, first class, second class, that wherever you enter. Because right from the CEO to the maid, everyone is wearing clothes. So you decide, this is where I'm going to enter, this is going to be my market, and you get money. People's problems is a source of income. So when you go to the trade fair and you see all these ideas, and you say, I could do that. This bit we don't have in our home. I could get the things from here because that's what trading is. I buy cheap, I sell high. I could buy them here and take them there. Or I could partner with this person to extend it. Or I could modify this in this way. Let me tell you, you won't have to walk through 20 stores before you start getting ideas. Actually, your problem, and I would like to meet you after you do this, is going to be you have so many ideas. And now your issue is, how do I zero in into what? Which would work for me? And you will never complain again that I have one stream of income. Finally, I want to talk about buying shares. How many of you have shares on the stock exchange? Ugandan Stock Exchange. How many have shares? I look at that and it always disappoints me when I'm speaking to a room and people are in Uganda and they have not found the easiest way to make money. Own a business. When I tell you to start a business, it's going to take you how many years? At least 7 years to get it off the ground for you to start making money. When you buy shares, you get money immediately. So for example, if I told you to start up, let's say, Stanbic Bank, it's going to take you about 30 years to get it operational. But if you want to get money from Stanbic Bank today, all you need to do is buy shares on Stanbic Bank. And these shares are 33 shillings. Who doesn't have 33 shillings? Shares of Uganda Clays are 20 shillings. Who doesn't have 20 shillings? This Umeme, when the lights went off, I was one of the people who was crying because I was like, okay, now there's a loss of revenue, Because I have shares in Umeme. 350 shillings. How many have shares in Umeme? You see? Now, when they called me and asked me to come and talk to you, one of the reasons I didn't hesitate in coming, because I just came to say thank you. I always want to see the people who have made me and my family prosperous, because every time you go home and you put on those lights, I am just dancing. And I want you to remember me tonight when you enter your home and you're putting on your lights. And I'm especially going to love the fact when you're sitting in your sitting room with your family, and the light in the bathroom where no one is on, and the one in the kitchen and there's no one is on. Me, I'm just saying, just keep the money coming, because I have shares. And you say, what is special about me? There is nothing. Who doesn't have 350 shillings? The most expensive share, extremely expensive, on the stock exchange in Uganda today, and I'm just limiting Uganda, I'm not even going to Nairobi or South Africa or even New York. Thank you. God bless you.
A massive, massive thank you.
Thank you very much. A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am so delighted to be in front of you, and I'm so excited that all of you are here. I believe we have like minds. Like, you're either here because you're going to give information, you have wealth of information that you want to share, and that means you're not selfish because you want to see other people moving forward, or you're here because you want to move from where you are, you want to learn more, you want to be better 2019. So I want to congratulate you first of all for being here, because you're already putting a step forward to being where you want to be. And I want to thank everyone that has come with the idea of, I want to share what I know and I want to give what I already have. The main job today I have is to host the panel of the most... So we have selected the top the cream of the cream, if I'm allowed to say that, are the people that we are confident will educate us about wealth management in families. To my wonderful panel, you are very welcome. And I am so delighted to be sitting with very intelligent women and gentlemen here with us today. I'm going to ask you to briefly, apart from Kezia, I'm going to ask you and Barbara to briefly introduce yourselves, please, for those of us who would like to know more about you, and then we'll dive into the topic of family wealth management. I'll start with Professor Magichigozi, please.
Thank you very much. I am really privileged to be here again. I was here last year. I want to thank the organizers. Let me quickly say that on all your behalf, so you don't have to repeat it every time. My name is Magichigozi, medical doctor, entrepreneur, farmer, mother, you name it, I've done it.
Thank you.
Grandmother, yes.
Thank you. And we'll move on to Hedra, please, one of our sponsors as well. Please tell us more about yourself.
Good evening, beautiful ladies. I'll be very quick. My name is Hedri Kusai, Director of Sales and Marketing for Fakhruddin Properties. And our vision is to give Ugandans comfortable homes at an affordable price with a flexible payment plan. And we are here with a set vision which we are empowering women to have a confident level in Uganda, and we're going to discuss this more in the panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And then we'll move on to you, Doc.
Good evening, ladies. My name's Nandaula Kanyerezi Mutema. I'm an internal medicine physician. I am Ugandan, just returned a few years ago. I'm the executive director of the clinic at the mall, which is a clinic I started. But I don't only earn money from my clinic. I have a shop that I started even before I returned to Uganda called Lakara that sells natural makeup with natural minerals, and I run a nail bar there as well. So therein lies, how many streams of income did we talk about? We're getting there. I am a mother, I am a wife. My son, Tendo, is in his final year at Dartmouth College. So that's who I am.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So without taking more time, I would like to ask, I'm tempted, Hedri. I'm tempted to read it the way it's written because I'm Ugandan. Heyadri. But Hedri, thank you very much. We'll go on to the first question, which is, what do you think the difference is between being rich and being wealthy? Remember, we're talking about wealth management in a family. So some of us are working hard to make sure we have house. I think building houses for rental is the way to go, buying land. And so what's the difference? How do you help us define in a family setting the difference between being rich and wealthy?
First of all, it's very important to understand a little bit background. So I've done a little bit research which I would like to share with you to understand the Ugandan dynamics of women. I know we are in a LadiesFirst event. So World Bank Development did a survey where the labor force of Uganda is 14 million, and would you believe that 47% of that labor force is women? And recently, according to 2018 MasterCard Index of Women Entrepreneurship, Madam Barbara, so you would be shocked to know that one of three businesses, that is around 33.8% is owned by women. So give yourself a round of applause because you rank among the most. According to your counterparts, the first ranked is Ghana, which is 44%, and then Russia, which is 34%. So what I'm trying to say over here is that, ladies, the only way to be rich and the only way to be wealthy is real estate. Because you need to prepare yourself for retirement. A good buyer of mine, this lady told me that, Hedri, when I started my job, my father told me, start preparing for your retirement from day one. So it is very important that if you need to be wealthy, secured during your retirement, because there are many stages of life. There are medical circumstances, things go up and down. The only thing which is going to be self-sufficient is if you have rental investments. And you know, I don't want to be negative about the Ugandan environment, but the statistics of marriages and how women are left alone, the only thing which secures women is having a shelter on her head. So for me, number one basic priority for wealth management is to secure yourself a comfortable home so that you are not dependent on anyone. And I was just thinking this morning while having a shower that women, so a lot of people think that, you know, what is the meaning, yeah? So I came up with something that women in Uganda are so strong and dynamic. And I'm not saying this to make you happy, but if you look at my customer list, we have made around 400 apartments. We have handed over about 400 apartments. My clientele, Dr. Maggie, Professor Maggie, 80% of the buyers are women. 80% of the buyers are women. So we are not salespeople, we are sales consultants. We sit down with the ladies, we say, Mama, you can do it. You know, Hedri, it's going to be difficult. You know what? Mama, just sit down, let's talk. So what can you do as a deposit? What can you pay monthly? We are partnered with banks. We are partnered with different mortgage banks which can help you around. We give them solution. But let me tell you by heart that when we deliver a home to a Ugandan, the feeling we get, because we know that that lady or that gentleman is going to remember us for the whole life. So the point I was coming up to is that you need to be so independent and self-sufficient that women, W-O, keep a pose, and then men. So you can stay without men.
Wow. So you can stay without men. So what he's basically saying is, let it be your choice, but don't be a slave to being with somebody or to being in a relationship. I see a lot of young girls. A lot of us grow up thinking, I want to get married to a man who will buy me a home. And it looks like you're helping us understand how do we get on the property ladder. Or even if I'm with, I'm dating somebody who's probably going to be around my age, he's probably earning the same money as me. How do we put that money together for us to start in life? So we're having opportunities from one of, I'm trying, Fakudin Properties. So ladies, if you're trying to get on the property ladder, I am, and I shall surely be in your office because I want a home. And me and my boyfriend, we do not earn very much, 40 million to buy a property straight away. So we would be consulting with you. Thank you very much. Moving on, I'm going to go to Professor Maggie Chigozi. I am going to ask you to discuss with us the investments. So we have some of the ladies here are married, obviously, and they're in families. How can they work with their husbands, or how can they manage? Where can they look to find sources of capital to maybe save? Because a lot of times I feel like they're trying to start up businesses, or they're trying to get food to feed the family. They're focusing on that. How do they sustain the future then? What kind of advice, or what would you think about that?
Thank you. To the ladies, first of all, you need to, where are you? You have gotten married. What has he got? What does he do? What have you got? What do you do? How do you make that family? And it's very critical. I gave you the example last year that my husband was running a business and I was absolutely not interested. He did try to tell me. And all of a sudden, he passed, and I was in charge of the business. And I still didn't know what to do with it. So please don't end up in a situation like that. Family business is family business. First of all, is it registered? That would help. Is it registered? Otherwise, you'll have the whole family fighting for it. Secondly, is it of interest to you as well? Whether it's of interest or not, a business that has already started is very much easier to grow and to diversify than to throw that one out and say, no, I don't like that, and you start something new. So work with your husband, or he should work with you. He should also know about what you have and what you do. And then together, you try and grow the businesses. There come critical things, the children, and even yourselves. Wealth, education is wealth. The knowledge that you have, the skill that you have, the skill that you don't have and know you don't have, you can get.
Yes.
You can get. So if he's been a farmer, you have no idea how to grow chicken, you can learn how to do it. Okay? So skills, that's wealth. The basic education that you have, consultancies, some of you are professionals, that's already, is already wealth. Do you have land? If you have land, what is it doing? I know many, who here has some land? There you are. Is it working? No. Or is it land that you have a land title and you keep it somewhere and you allow squatters to have a field day on your land? So if you do have land, can you use it? What can you use it for? There are numerous. If Victoria had the opportunity, we could tell you what opportunities there are in agriculture. We heard from her urban farming, even the small plot. We have examples of two ladies, Dr. Narima and another one. They earn millions of shillings on 2 acres. I have 300 acres. I must say I don't make millions like they do. So mine is very new. Mine is very new. But the other thing that she has talked about, diversify. I have already recognized that in my short term doing agriculture. You never know which crop in which year is going to do well. So if you're a farmer, can you do many things? So I have my matoke. Matoke is usually brilliant. Coffee is coming up. Chicken, the prices go up, they go down, they go up, they go down. I don't even know what to do with that. But honey, very easy to add to anything you're doing. So diversify on the farm. Do manure, the ladies do manure, they biogas, so many things, but don't do one. That in agriculture, do not do whatever you do, one crop, because this year it won't rain and that will be a dead year for you. But your bees could have continued earning, or your other products. So basically, I think that's all I have to share, but maybe very clearly who owns the property, the business. Can you be a co-owner if there are two of you? I have a family now that is 4 with my 3 kids. Everything we own, they own 25%, each and every one of us. Be it Navio, I own 25% of Navio, as does his sister and his other brother, so that together we work with him and try to make him succeed, because we are all part of the interested parties. Wow. When it comes to the farm, you'll find Navio on the farm, again checking on the chicken and whatever, because he has a 25% shareholding. That's the solution that we found as a family, and it works for us.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Maggie Chigozie. Basically, all the things, I think it's very important, because as young women today, we're failing to find the balance. How do we work with our partners to grow wealth? And I feel like we walk slower, or we move slower, if we isolate our wealth instead of joining forces, understanding what is your best skill, what is my skill, how do we utilize it, what is your responsibility in growing this wealth, what is my responsibility in growing this wealth. So thank you very much, ladies. I think we are getting some tips on how, not tips, we're getting full knowledge on how to manage these things, because I'm 31 now and I'm used to working on my own. So finding somebody and learning how to work with them is something that I now know I have to learn to do, instead of saying I'm like this, I just don't do my things like that. So you have taught us, what I've learned as well is, if you do not know something, put yourself forward to learn it so that you both can benefit. So I'm moving on to Dr. Nandaula M. Mutema. I've said it correctly. Okay. We have this family setting where the man or the male figure in the family dominates, makes the decisions, sort of points how money and resources and wealth is going to be accumulated in the family. Basically, they almost decide the future of the family financially or wealth-wise. What are your thoughts? What is your advice on how women here today can actually work with that kind of setting? It's the culture we live in now, and doing anything contrary to it means you're maybe olimkazi mubi, you're a woman who is not submissive to your husband. Because you have education, you think you're all that. So please help us to walk through this path safely as we amass wealth in our families.
I don't know if I should start by disagreeing right from the start. I got married young, way younger than you are right now, and we started together. Now, granted, my start was very different because we started in a different country. But everything we did together. We're both medical doctors, we're both professionals. We learned early, working in the US, to invest and save, because all the opportunities out there with, your retirement accounts and savings accounts and so on and so forth, that happen even before you touch the money. So that's one thing. But we also had to begin to do something here in Kampala, in Uganda. Not necessarily Kampala, but in Uganda. Now, because we had been together and have always done things together as a family, it wasn't very difficult. At least in my situation, I wasn't being told what we're going to do. Oh, okay. We did things together. I know, yeah. Lucky for me. I would empower the girls, though, the ladies, the young ladies, even those that feel they're in situations where he makes the decisions. If you don't begin to show interest, stand up and speak up for yourself, he will continue to make the decisions, and you will continue to follow. Yes, there is the head of household. We agree, but there is the neck that shakes the head. And so together you can do things, but you must begin to show interest. They will continue to dominate if all you want to do is stay home, wait for the money, and go shopping. Okay. Yeah. Yes. So it's never too late to begin to work together to do things. Don't expect to be taken care of. But then again, if you're the kind of person that wants to be taken care of,
Thank you very much. There we go. So in your case, you're very lucky. Now I'm going to come to you, Barbara, with this question, because you're married, you're in Uganda, and we can also relate. The ladies that have had their marriages here can relate. There's some situations where the woman is the more enterprising one, but the man wants to be the one making the financial decisions. And the financial decision, we're not even talking, we haven't grown to wealth yet. We're not keeping any money aside, but it's the money me, the wife, I'm bringing in, and my husband has visions for my money. So to say, how do we maneuver that situation? So I'm making money, how do I work with my husband to save, to get money for our family, not just for today, but even for the future? How do you do that? You have talked about things that can help me as a person. I can use my own skills, I can use my talent, I can use, my education, whatever it is I have learned. You've taught me how to save, find different streams. If somebody is sabotaging those 7 streams of savings that you have taught me today, how do I deal with that?
Thank you so much. So I'm putting on my academic hat again, and I'll tell you, research has been done in Uganda and around the world. Number 1 cause of divorce is finances. It's not infidelity that he's got another wife, it is finances. So failure to understand finances and navigating that, automatically you're doomed to failure. Now, I'll also say another statistic, and I'm glad I have doctors here who can relate. Research has been done that 90% of long-term successful relationships, opposites attract. Those who are married, you would know that your spouse is your opposite. If you are a morning person, he's an evening person. If you are neat, he's not quite that. If you love people, he's anti-people. It's opposites attract. And it's very simple. It's like a jigsaw puzzle that fits together. You come and fit together. And that is why those relationships and marriages have been successful for a long time, because you're opposites. Now, once you understand that, you stop shaping the other person into you, because their strengths are your weaknesses and your weaknesses are their strength, which tends to say that in a marriage, one of you is better at finances than the other. So if one of you is good at saving and investing, the other one is not. So let's take the case of these two doctors. If they are going into an operation room to operate, maybe do a heart transplant, and your husband is not a doctor, do you call him up and say, okay, sweetheart, what vein should I cut? Should I give O negative or AB? What kind of blood? Do you call him up for that? No, because you are the expert doctor and you're called in because of your expertise. And when it comes to managing finances, that's what you have to address. You sit down as a couple and say, we are opposites. Between us, who is better at managing finances? And the person who manages finances may not necessarily be the person who earns more. You could be earning more, but I'm better at saving, at investing. Even if you just gave me 50,000, I could stretch it. So that means I take over that role. And it's great when that person happens to be the husband, because he's the head of the home and you have to be submissive and everything they teach us. But if it happens in that marriage to be the wife, then he has to understand that you're not coming at it like you're becoming the head of the house, but you're using your area of expertise for both of them. So once you have that frank discussion, he will get to know and say, you know what, actually my wife is better at this. She's good at this, and I'm also good at this, because each of you in that relationship has strength. So if you are a wife and you've had that discussion, you find that many times they defer to you in terms of what? Investing. But I also want to talk about the fact that you as a woman should also have your own money. How many of you here were told the day that your husband is going to heaven? You know that, on October 25th, God will take him to heaven. Yes. So when you do go back and say, mommy, yes, this very good husband who brings everything home, you have a joint account, you're done with an ATM card, God takes him tonight. And you said, I'm not interested in this. And then all of a sudden, you know nothing about the business. You're saddled with 5 kids and you don't know where to start. Which means all of you have to have a basic understanding of finances, but only one of you is really gifted in that investment. And let that person take the lead on that. Thank you.
Wowza. Yes, please give her a round of applause. I think your problems have been solved, let's be honest. Yeah. So be the mediator of that conversation. Start that conversation with your partner, with your husband, and move your finances forward and grow your wealth. Now, Kezia, I'm coming to you. In the room, we have a lot of young women here who are maybe entrepreneurs, so maybe some of them are getting regular income and some are not getting regular income. How do they, yet their wives as well? How do you advise, or what do you think they should do in this modern Kampala where everything is expensive and you earn not very much as well? So maybe if I earn 1 million and then our house expenses are coming up to maybe 750,000 a month. When am I going to make wealth, please? Either from your bank expertise, or from you as a person, if you've tried something to make wealth. Because I know there's a difference between making wealth and just living buy and how do I do that? I want to buy a property. I want to come with at least a deposit to come and buy a property. How do I maneuver that? What do you advise for especially the young women in here?
I will speak as a single young woman. I used to think that I have to get married to invest. I have to get married to have these things. And then someone told me, Kezia, you are a complete person. You do not need another individual to start doing these things. So there are very many things that young women and young wives can actually do to get money. I said earlier, women are very good at saving. Barbara gave a very good example, and I can speak for my mom. We've never bought greens at my home because there is that garden next to the parking lot where we plant sukuma wiki and dodo and everything. And every Sunday, my mother walks to the garden and says, Dorothy, you have to cook greens because I have picked them. So there's simple things that you can start doing. You can ensure that you save on groceries, buy in bulk. Many of us like to go to supermarkets. We don't like to do chikubo and all that. And yet, if you went to chikubo, you would get you'd first of all get bulk, and then you'd get the things much cheaper, and you'd get the same quality as a supermarket. If you have a home and you happen to have a small garden, plant onions, plant tomatoes, plant the greens. That will help you. When it comes to working at home, most of us, how many people wash their clothes every day? You wash once, yeah? You can start doing certain things. I fight with people in the office about lights, AC, switching off PCs, but you think about it, it is what they do in their homes. So you're paying a higher electricity bill because the lights are on. My dad is very good. He goes and switches off all the lights in the house and leaves on the one in the sitting room because that's where every individual is. So there's small things that start to make impact. One thing you can do is record your expenses. I used to find out that I used to eat popcorn every time I was in a taxi going back home. I said, okay, I spend 2K, that time Equity was in Katwe, 2K to get to the taxi park. Then I buy popcorn and splash. I sit in the taxi, and then I get home, I'll eat again. You get. So when you record, you're saying, I'm spending 50,000, but this can actually be 30,000. But you will not be aware until you record. It will be hectic to begin with, but just do it. Get a very small notebook, a tiny notebook, the ones of 1,000, and record for a month. You will start cutting down things. All that money that you get, you put and save. If it's very, very hard, get a piggy bank. We all do that for our children. My brother broke his piggy bank and he had 3 million shillings. 3 million shillings. Wow. Piggy bank. Wow. Yeah? Simple things. She said it. In fact, me, I'm embarrassed, and I'm going to go to the trade show and do exactly what she says. Yes.
Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm called Fiona Ampere. I'm co-founder and CEO of April Blooms, the flowers you're seeing there. I have one question. I don't know who is going to be able to answer it. I wanted to find out if you're married. I'm not married, but I'm wondering. Since we've been talking about marriage, you have to work together. So if you're married and you have an investment, is it okay for you to do it alone, independently? Is it okay, or you have to always consult your partner?
I think
Very good question.
This is a good one for Hedri Kwasier.
Let me share you my experience from a sales point of view. When a gentleman comes and tells me, like we do the whole presentation and everything, we, aggressive, dynamic presentation, and then in the end they say, Banange, you guys are doing a good job. Let me go and ask my wife. He is serious. He will buy because he's asking his wife. But if a wife comes to us and we do a dynamic presentation and she says, you know what, let me go and ask my husband, she won't buy. So let us not debate on the culture, but if right now things in Uganda are tremendously changing, the culture orientation, women are self-sufficient and they are earning on their own. Yes, do share the idea with the husband in running the numbers, in running the location, in running where the apartment is, where the property is, what he feels about it. But as per experience, women are making their own decision and keeping the husband in loop, where they put the husband's name in the sales agreement, but it is completely entirely financed by women earning. Because yes, I'm a foreigner, but let me tell you, my experience is that women in Uganda are very dynamic, They are very smart.
Yeah.
They are good decision makers. They are very good decision makers. That's why we are here in this event. And we are going to be there for next year and more years to come. Because women, men, they have a mentality of buying cars, partying, and holidaying, show off. But women, they always think about the rainy day. So they make this, yes, they do come under pressure. It becomes, sometimes it becomes a nervous breakdown, but we walk the talk with them. We support them. We give them a flexible payment plan. So coming back to the answer, I don't think it's a necessary judgment where I should make that yes, women have to consult their husband.
So the basic resource, one would be land, access to land, maybe your parents' land, maybe your own land, that could be a big plus. And then what crop? There are new higher value crops. So if you have 1 acre, don't touch maize, for example. Do not, absolutely don't go near maize. But you could go to a higher value crop, lettuce, tomatoes, if you have irrigation, higher value ginger, garlic. There are crops that give you higher value. There's a dairy cow. You can afford that to start with. You can get milk to sell to the neighborhood, like Victoria said that was one of the things that she did. If you have bigger land, then you can look at you in the diaspora. He cares about, they'll grow, and then you get your money a lot later. The problem is be ready for waiting a long time before you get any income. But when it comes, it is actually not bad money. You could, I grow coffee. The first 3 years, nothing. So be ready. Agriculture, be ready that the first few years you are not making money for most of the crops. But after that, now the coffee has got a very good harvest, so I expect to make some money. Matoke is great. Matoke really is. So, but then you need to be there or have somebody there, and the investment becomes bigger because you need a house. Where's the manager staying? Usually that complicates farming. Putting the crop in the ground may not be that expensive, but you need a house, you need toilets, you need so many other things that make the initial cost high, and therefore the profits come a lot later, but they do come.
Thank you very much. So it's not a get-rich-quickly scheme. It requires patience. A lot of us young people, 3 years seem like a lot. 3 years waiting for what? I want to know what I'm getting a month after the investment. So I think let's encourage also the culture of knowing that some things are going to take a bit of time. In terms of time, I mean not 3 months, because even 3 months for a young person, it's a lot of time waiting for 3 months. Why? So let's think about also investing in long term, expecting to get more out of our investment in long term. So I'm rounding up. I'll start with you, Kezia. Thank you very much, Dr. Manchilasi. I'll start with you, Kezia, as you round up.
Wealth management it is very important, and there are various ways. You just have to understand your interests as a family, the ways that you can do it, read and find information, because information is power. The things that you do not know about, yet you can be very good at them, and utilize all the resources, but most of all, have a relationship. very, very important to keep records. I think as a family, most
Check,
times
check,
you do
check,
not
check,
do
check.
that. You just trust that, yeah, daddy has it, or,
Check,
you know,
check.
Bae has it. But you have
Check.
to ensure that you keep
No,
records.
it's not.
Ensure
Oh, yeah,
you
it
have
is.
this brief. My mom
But
has a briefcase where she
there's
keeps
something, yeah.
land titles, everything. If you do not trust the house, there are banks and places that offer custodial services. Go and use that. But keep records, read, information is power, and make sure you're disciplined.
Oh, thank you very much. We come on to you, Barbara.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, the mics are off. Okay. I wanted to clarify one thing. I actually believe in giving. I give and I tithe. But you should give on budget. Back to my example, you're earning 1 million shillings. You should have a budget. This is my water bill, my electricity bill, and you should have a budget for giving, a budget for charity. So from your 1 million shillings, you can say 100,000 is my budget for charity. So someone comes to me with a problem, I say, fine, 50,000. Another person comes, 20,000. I give within that what? Budget. Now, should it happen that this month, in January, somehow I've exceeded my budget and I've spent 150,000 instead of 100,000, that means I've done what the bank has called, I've gotten an overdraft. So that means next month's charity budget is how much? 50,000. And when you keep doing that, you're getting the blessing from giving, but you're also living within your income. And that is very important. Because many of us want to be liked, and we forget that we have to manage finances. Like I've told you, it's #1 cause of divorce. It's the hardest subject to discuss, and it is the thing that brings us down most. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Barbara. We'll come on to you, Doctor. So I don't know why I keep on calling you Doctor. Maybe every...
She's a medical doctor.
Yeah, I
I'm a
was
medical
thinking, I
doctor.
remember Dr. Magichigozi, but I have Professor Magichigozi here, so thank
both.
you.
I'm also ambassador, just to
Yes. Thank you.
I just want to talk about consumeristic way we look at life. The competition of your friend has hair that's worth 15 million, you want it too. Your friend has a Gucci bag, you want it too. The wedding, her wedding had 600 people.
Oh, weddings.
Mine should have 800. Ridiculous graduation parties, huge, you know. I think there are some things. Let's take the pressure off ourselves. Yeah? These celebrations, the weddings, huge ones. Yes, I would love to have a burial dress. I'm sure she can make one for me a little cheaper because she likes me. Anita was here. You know, you can rent it instead of buying it. You really get stuck with a wedding dress that you own.
Exactly.
Where else do you wear a wedding dress? Your daughter will probably say,
Don't
I
worry.
don't want to wear that. so let us look at the way we spend our money, just to try and stay within the limits that we have and not expect that somehow those debts will be paid by, I don't know by who. It's eventually still going to be you. And then the other thing about husband and wife and family, do you get on? She said you are different like day and night in order to be together. But that means he probably drinks or you drink too much. One of you is a drunkard. So those are things you take into consideration as you look at whether it should be your own business. And there's nothing wrong with that. It can be just your own business, and he has his own business or his own job, and that's fine as well. If you get on, that's another matter. Then you're blessed. But if you have differences, keep it to yourself and do your own business.
Wow, thank you very much.
Dr. Maggie Chigozi literally took my my thing. So I'm going to give you 2 tips before we end. Ugandans have a tendency to spend a lot on marriages and burials. So we get stories that you know, this wedding was for 300 million, 400 million, 600 guests, and you are having a very and you know what, this brain is not going to remember after 3 days. Everyone's going to forget about your wedding after 1 week. So and the husband is taking the wife back to a rented apartment after spending 300 million. So you as women, you as ladies, dynamic ladies, you need to stand up against this and say, you know what? What after the wedding? What is there for me after the wedding? So you can literally buy a home, a shelter, which is going to stay with you for generations, which you're going to pass on to your kids, kids to kids. This asset, a valuable asset, which is going to make you self-sufficient. So spending a lot on marriages and burials does not make sense, number one. And number two, Ugandans had a tendency of buying land. They want to be landlords. This is an old phenomena. Right now, you need to look into an asset which is going to give you cash flow, rental cash flow every month. Your land is going to appreciate. I'm not going to say that, you know what, it's going to depreciate. It is appreciating. But to get money out of that land and to resell that land is very difficult. Try selling your plot of land in Mukono. You know, brokers will take you for a ride, the chichipulis and all. You know what, it's a tough investment. But what we are trying to tell Ugandans over here, that buy a ready apartment, you know what, keep it on Pangisa, so it gives you another revenue stream which Barbara spoke to you about, and you have a nice decent cash flow. Once you do this asset, it's going to motivate you to do another asset. So 600,000 from this apartment, 700 from this, it maintains your cash flow, and then the salary becomes bonus. So that's the two tips I'm going to give you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Hodri.
I think I'll basically just echo the fact that wealth is only accumulated when we diversify where our money comes from, but it's passed on when the people in the family understand that you have the same culture, you have the same way of thinking about what you're doing, that culturally you're invested, socially you're invested. Teach your children what you're doing. Let them understand the whys of what you're doing. If you then, well, even as you live, and they take part in the streams of income flow that you have, they'll be invested in it, and wealth will then begin to accumulate within your family. They'll still have their own jobs, just like you do, but if they understand what it is, this income stream came down this way, as a family, this is what we do, they will continue it even when you're gone. They won't be just selling things off. Keep the wealth within the family by everybody understanding and being on the same page and having the same culture. It will be important for you.
Wow. Thank you very much. What a panel we've had. Please give my panelists a round of applause. A very loud one indeed, because they've done so well. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dorothy Kezia. Thank you very much, Dr. Nandaula. Thank you very much, Barbara. Thank you, Hedri. Thank you, Dr. Magechigozi. It has been wonderful. And thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. I promise you, 2019, we come back here 2020. My friend, if you have not implemented these things, you might as well buy your ticket for somebody else to come instead of you coming, because you cannot hear all of this. If you have land and you don't utilize, please let someone who has just bought land at least have the opportunity to come. You don't come. If you're still spending the way you're doing, if you're still not making accountability of how you're spending and how much you're earning, increasing streams of how much you earn, streams of saving, all of these things that we have had, guys, it's not just to look fancy and come here to Sheraton Hotel. Please implement them, and let's come back with results next year. Thank you very much, ladies.
I'm back. A massive thank you to Gladys for having our panelists right there. And we're coming to the nice conclusion on this last segment. I need my volume. I know I have a big voice, but The last segment, we're going to be talking about love, dating, marriage. And I'm not going to have any panelists. I am walking around and we're going to talk about this. All right, we're going to start. I've been told to give 2 minutes. I don't want 2 minutes. I don't want my people to go. Love, dating, and marriage. Do you have any specific question? And do you have anybody you want to forward it to? Because if you know somebody here, we have people like Arrigo here who can answer in terms of the men. We have Julius there. I don't know why Hate is disappearing and yet he needs his manly opinion here. There are many people. We even have these guys from NTV and Spark TV here. They don't run away, they'll answer this question. So if you have any question pertaining to love, marriage, this is your time to ask and it shall be answered. To love, dating, and marriage. Where are those questions before our guests disappear? First of all, I wonder why some of you are still very single here. Like me, I'm one of those. Very single. Not looking. Very comfortable where we are. Do I have my... This is our money. Remember, just telling us how women share shares. We also do have the union president who's actually in the building. He's actually finally come through. Thank you very much for coming. Very good you've come on a topic where women are very interested. Love, marriage, and dating. Let me ask you something. If a woman proposed to you, would you agree? Because I do realize that so many people, so many guys on radio say they would never allow that because a man is supposed to be the lion. And you know, you're the one to chase me. But if I'm tired of waiting for you to propose, why shouldn't I propose to you? Isn't that okay? Or is it out of the norm? I saw that thing. Very short. Mr. Ariho, if your wife proposed to you, would you accept, or do you still feel it's the old-fashioned way where the man is supposed to chase the woman, and then you're the one to propose, and like that, like that? Because sometimes us women feel like you men are taking too long to pop the question, and I'm tired of waiting. I don't have sound, because that's why I'm shouting. I'm joking, that was my experience. Some other people know how to handle it. But you know those happens when a woman earns more than the man. So how do you handle that situation? Like how do you, yes. So you put up your hand and then she doesn't. You can declare. So you don't tell your partner your full amount of income. All right, now we're back.
So the question was, how do you handle relationships where the lady earns more than the man? I told you I was dumped very badly, very true story. It became a whole situation. I couldn't deal with it. What do you have to say about that?
To me, I think you could declare half the income. Because let's face it, mostly Ugandan men, they are egoistic. If you tell him how much you're earning, he'll think he can't provide for you. He will start looking for ways to make you feel less of a woman. So what if you declare half? The rest you can spend it on your children, you can spend it on trips. Why not? Let him provide what he can, and that's what I think. That's in my opinion.
I would like to disagree. First of all, I believe once you get married, there is a oneness that's involved. So, no, even in the accounts, it depends on how you manage the finances. So I would think, first of all, it's okay to be open, put on table what you have, let him put on table what he has, and then you manage it accordingly. However, I also know that it's a bit tricky. So you, as the wife, you need to be a bit respectful. So you don't have to rub it in his face, because you see, money, today there is money, tomorrow the money won't be there. So your fortunes might be up those ends as the woman today, and tomorrow his fortunes are going to be up there, and then you'll have conflict just because of the money. So I think you need to be open and honest with your husband.
Maybe if you're saying being open before you marry the man. Because, listen, there is when you are not married and dating, and then there is when you marry the man. Because this man wants to be the provider.
Let him provide.
But what if he can't provide?
No, listen. Okay. Can I say something?
Tell you something.
Okay, now here's what I think. Once you get married, there's bills to take care of, there's all those things to take care of, and you have money, and probably he has less money, yeah? Now, like the panelists were discussing earlier, you have a budget. So let him cover the budget, depending on what he has. And then whatever gap there is, you can bridge it until he's able to.
Okay, I'm off again. Actually, before I come to another question, I wanted to just hear from Kamara. How do you handle that situation? You know, I've heard from the women arguing, but I want to hear the man. So, you earn less than your wife. How do you handle that?
Yeah, that's been my reality for the longest time of my relationship, my marriage. We're 9 in June. We're 9 years married in June. Yeah. Thank you very much. And if I had to choose, I'd choose her again, you know, yes.
Doing it like you're doing it for TV.
Oh, great. Okay, so I think the question is a bit up there in the air. I believe that relationships are built on a theology. So there has to be a bedrock on which people build their belief system, from which they act and do everything they do. So when you ask that question, most people are looking at it from the economics, which is like really up there, but there's the underlying theology. What does your belief say about that? Is it money that defines you? I mean, I keep telling people, if I can't declare to my wife the basic thing like money, and this is someone I trust my life with, you know, we're in the era of HIV/AIDS. This is the only person I trust my life with. So I mean, what else is there? She has a stronger opinion on money than I do, actually. So, yeah, so I'll let her say something. But my opinion is, if I am insecure about her money, then I don't know my worth. Yeah.
Well, I think he has wrapped it up well. I've listened to people saying he won't feel like he's secure enough because you earn more. But I think at the end of the day, it's the comments that you make and how you treat him that matter. I know someone that earns a lot of money, and she is a career woman. She's gotten international jobs, and she said, you know what, Vasta, the only way I can control myself is I get my money, and I give it to my husband. And then he gives me money to spend. And she loves it because the truth is, naturally as women, we are meant to be spoiled. We love a man that's going to give you money, that's going to spoil you, love on you, and do all those things. So whether we are career women and we're earning a lot of money, at the back of your mind, the truth is you're going to want your husband to spoil you and to love on you and to look out for you. So under money, whether it's double or 3 times, but if you're going to build your relationship on distrust or dishonesty, then you're not laying a foundation that is good enough for your marriage. So how are you going to be together 10 years from now if everything that you have is not his? Because, I mean, the vows you make are everything I have, I give to you. Everything I am, I share with you. So then what was the point in making those values? You might as well stay single. Yeah, because it's that basic. And I'm not saying it's smooth throughout, because you get to a point and you realize, you know what, I want to buy this shoe, and then you're thinking, he's controlling it. He's not going to think it's a good idea. And sometimes you'll sleep, and you'll make the decisions that are random. But when you come back to the basics, you realize that, you know what, we're in this together. If I mess it up, I mess it up for us, for our children, and probably for the generations to come. So it's really up to you. That one decision that you make is going to be a whole tower of lies, or it's going to be a foundation that's firm enough for you and the generations to come.
All right, thank you. Hey, you give your all in marriage, eh? That's why you're single.
Thank you very much. Once more, my name is Christina Court. I come from Moroto district. First of all, I have an experience. I have a man who earns less than me. Yes. So for us in Karamoja, it doesn't matter who the man is. A man is a man, and he will always remain a man. So for us, whether you're earning more or you're earning less, you always have to declare the money, bring it to the table, we share. Because since marriage, we have become one. Why should money divide us, surely? Why should money divide us? We are there. Okay, it has ended. No. Continue talking. Okay. That let money not divide us. Let marriage remain there, because money can disappear anytime. So what will happen with that marriage if money disappears? You mean we cannot stay again? No. For me as Christine, I don't not with that man. Thank you.
People are declaring the situations. People are declaring the situations here. If you're single, declare it. There could be somebody here for you.
I'm going to let you know that I earn this amount of money, and maybe know what you earn. You're not supposed to be comfortable with that. I mean, you're supposed to work hard. You're a man. Fine, we are married, we are one, but at the end of the day, I have to think about anything can happen in marriage. We can get divorced. I have to look after my children. And maybe you'll change yourself or do something. What are you doing? Are you comfortable with me having to cater for all the bills and you're just there? If you don't have, okay, if you're trying your best, I will understand. If you're trying your best, I will understand. You can tell a person who is really trying, but you're just seated there and no.
So now your scenario is if it's just seated there, her scenario is you're both working and there's progress going on, and especially when you've settled down and gotten married.
Good evening, comrades. Honestly, marriage is just a classroom. From the start, from dating, from where you just go by learning. And if you don't learn your partner right from the word go, you will get challenges ahead. Today, you may be having a lot of money or a bigger earning than your husband, and tomorrow it may change the other way around. So if you have been working together in a better relationship, then you will not be affected when the change comes. For us, me, I'm a Muchiga by tribe. And a spoon is a spoon. I tell you, Sebo na Abginez. Tukorechi, and you tell me. When we decide on something, that is what we have decided. You change, ngana ndakushandas. So, he gets to learn that he's supposed to do this and this. But my earning does not mean anything in the marriage. What is important is, do you sit together and agree? And that is the major principle of marriage. You should have one common understanding. I'm a Muslim, but they cannot bring a second wife because we have that good relationship. Not because of money or anything, but because we work together. Thank you.
Okay, I'm not married, and I know that money is a very big issue in marriage, and it's worse if the woman has more money. The only challenge that comes in is that sometimes when a woman has more money than the husband, they tend to grow wings. Some women just become, you can do anything you want because it's your money, you're earning more money than he is, and there's what they call like submission, you know? Like just because you're earning more money than him, it doesn't mean you overrule the decisions in the house, women become disrespectful to their husbands. Do you still make him feel like a man? Is he the one making the decisions despite the fact that you make more money than him? Which should be the case?
Christine and Tim. On this topic, I'm going to say that honesty is key. But when I am earning more than my boyfriend or my husband, then if we're going to have problems, it's mostly going to stem from the character of my husband or my boyfriend, because you're going to find an insecure man who will have problems with you earning more than him. And that's where the problems are going to arise. So what you're going to do as the wife or the girlfriend is find a way you can be, you can handle him in a way that's he's going to understand what you're doing, and he won't feel like you're trying to be better than him, and he'll respect you for who you are and for what you're trying to bring to your relationship. Yes, and on that, you should also be humble. Don't feel on top of the world because you're earning more than he does, but support each other, be honest, and that's it.
Top of the world, all right.
There is something that puzzles, it doesn't puzzle me, it bothers me, to say that make a man feel like a man. How do I make a man feel like a man if he doesn't feel like a man? And I do feel like, in fact, I'll even stand up. I am not discouraging. I feel like it's not my responsibility to make a man feel like a man. The same way it's not his responsibility to make me feel like a woman. Because if his manhood depends on how I make him feel, then he's not a man. And then that means that you probably have made a mistake because you're putting a responsibility on yourself to help someone define who he is. I think that's very wrong. And the other thing is, this is a question to you guys. I earn more money. It must be true because all the ladies are shouting that you're earning more than your husbands or boyfriends. Okay, we're just saying, okay. In that case, okay, so what are the expectations? Am I having so much high expectations to expect my husband, to look after me even if I earn more than him? How does a man look after you if you earn more than him? Yes, there's a man over there.
I'm going to speak into that briefly, but I'm also going to, I don't know where Tiba is, or the husband or guys who have put this together. I didn't get a chance to thank you, but thank you very much. This is what is happening. This is the current reality in our country and in very many places in the world. Women have been empowered to come in forums such as these and speak to one another and share their challenges and build one another. Now, we don't have those kinds of fora for men because we are somehow supposed to figure it out. Okay? But listen, the guys you're dissing now were someone's son. You have sons right now. And you know that the sons you're raising are going to marry someone's daughter. And someone's daughter is going to be saying the kind of stuff you're saying about the guys now because you didn't do your job right. So you cannot stop and point fingers at guys today because someone didn't do their job right a couple of years ago. So you're stuck with the mistake of the mother of the guy you married. Okay? So we are all in this together, guys. You can point to the guys can point to the chicks, but this is what I'd like to say. Please invite more of us to forums such as this so we can become more comfortable. My wife leads the marriage fellowship at church, but I see the attendance, it's like in order to stay married as a man, you have to become a woman. Why? Because you need to get comfortable with being vulnerable or having people getting to know the stuff that's happening or the stuff that's not going right for you, because that way then you get to improve yourself. But what society says is that the man needs to provide for the woman. So when he's not providing, what's happening? Somehow he's supposed to go out there and figure it out. But he needs to come to a forum like this, and then we speak to him and come to the table and have a common understanding. So I think this whole conversation is you're venting to the wrong audience. You guys need to go back home and do your homework, look after your cousins, speak to the men that you so very much love in a way that and give them the information they need to know early. Find them mentors. Women raise boys, men raise men. So what you're doing is you're raising boys and you're expecting them to be men. The men that you see today were boys that were raised by single moms out of whatever situation. They have not been coached to become men. So you're asking boys to do a man's job. That's all.
Well, we've spoken for all the men here.
I'll start by giving an example. When we look at these fingers, they are not equal, right? No, you got to answer me. When we look at these fingers, they're not equal, right? And we all know if we bring these fingers together, they can do something, right? Well, I'll give a clear example of Julius and Tiba that have brought up this amazing event tonight. This is a couple. Listen before you get excited. This is a couple that has come together to do something. Most of the amazing, phenomenal men and women we're looking up, families, they have worked together as a couple, as one, towards who they are today. Dear ladies and gentlemen, this thing of thinking that we cannot have our men get to know the budget, how much we earn, Banange, that's too ancient. You know, this is the right time we should bring everything we have on the desk. Budget for our family, this is for mortgage, this is for this, this is for this, this is for this. Kale webo ino akako, have it at the side. But let's bring what we have on the table, right? Thank you so much for the opportunity. Have a great evening.
I've come to discover I have a very thin neck, it's not fitting the neck properly. But either way, it's mine. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming through here today. Hopefully I'll be seeing most of you, but more gentlemen, 20 next year. We're in 2019, 2020. I feel like we should have one in 2019 towards the end, just to recap and get ready for, yeah? Tiba, I hope you have had that. I think we should have this before the year ends to recap what happened today and get ready for next year.
Thank you so much, first of all, everybody that is present. We took a very brave step. I mean, if you look at where we've come from a tiny beauty pageant to a leadership program to ambitious things like the CARES tour. The first time we did a free event, the LadiesFirst event last year, a big turn up, and it was a huge risk for us to say this year it needs to be paid because we want it to be a full day event, and we want people to buy lunch obviously at a discount, but still it was a huge step in the ticket pricing. And it was a huge risk, because we want everybody to be here, but at the same time, we wanted to have a long day of conversation. And we are so delighted that all of you showed up. So please give yourselves a hand clap for showing up for LadiesFirst 2019. I'd like to congratulate my wife, the president of Miss Uganda North America. Wife goals. I'd like to recognize the presence of the president of UNA. Please stand up. And if you've ever wanted a visa, the guy has visas in his pockets. He's the president of Uganda North American Association. So please, just line up. Anyway, and also to recognize Jojo, please wave. Florence, Miss Uganda North America, Shalom Aburu, Ida Kinkufi, contestant 2017, Tremaine Subi, runner-up 2018, Irina Shtende, Yvonne Kushe. Some of these people I've mentioned are people who have stood by us when we're in North America and also when we're here, so we really appreciate you guys being present. Thank you so much. Big shout out to our sponsors, Equity Bank, back for a second year, Fakhruddin Properties, did and don't laugh, back for a second year, Sheraton Kampala Hotel, you guys, the meal, I'm sure you're all satisfied. I mean, that was beyond, above and beyond. So thank you so much, Sheraton Kampala Hotel. NTV, Spark TV, Capital FM for the constant media coverage throughout the CARES tour. We really appreciate that. And our other sponsors, Grand Maria Schools, April Blooms. This living room here was set up by Footsteps Furniture, and also Ziwa. You see that hair? That's hair by Ziwa. So enough said. And All in Trade, lastly. Thank you so much, our sponsors. Now, I'll let Tiba say something, and then we'll jump into something that's going to take 5 minutes, but it's probably the most important thing that we're going to do this evening. Thank you very much, guys.
I will not repeat all the thank yous. As speakers, it's one thing to be selected to be on a panel and you don't get to sit with your panel to talk about what you're going to discuss. So as speakers for today, we're really, really thankful. And the other thing that I want to mention is, we fly here for 2 weeks to do this event, but we plan it all from North America. But we've been here and everybody has been asking us, how do you do this? You don't even live here. I would like to give a special thanks and shout out to our family, my siblings, my sisters, my brothers, my husband's brothers. You guys, when I'm counting my blessings, I count you as well. Now, we'll go ahead and dive into the next closure.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys to just do one thing, okay? And it's really weird, but just play along. I'm going to ask everybody who's in the room to please come, and let's all just.
Everybody,